Okay guys, so what I thought I'd do today is I've had this Dubia Roach colony going for about 2 or 3 years now. So I thought I would upgrade their house today, and I thought I'd do a video to show you how to set up your own colony. So these cockroaches are called Dubia Roaches. They originate from South America, from places like Brazil and Argentina. So they need quite a high temperature, 24 to 35 Celsius, and they won't breed at less than 20 Celsius. So you don't have to worry about them escaping and breeding in the UK. So I'll get one out. I'll show you an adult female. So that's an adult female there. See, they've only got little stubs of wings. They haven't actually got wings, so they can't fly. And the adult male, if I can get hold of one, these ones do have wings, but they've kind of forgot how to use them. If you drop them, they do a little flutter, but they can't really fly, and they can't climb smooth surfaces either. So they're an ideal feeder roach for your reptiles. So I'm going to show you how to set up your own little colony. So first thing you need is a nice big tub. This one here is just about right. You could go a little bit bigger than this, but this should be fine for a medium to large colony of Dubia roaches. So we're gonna, first of all, we're gonna make some ventilation in here because we can't have it sealed. They need good airflow, so we've got to make lots of holes in this. And the easiest method I found is to melt holes in with a soldering iron, but you can cut out a section and put a mesh over it. But this is just the simplest method I found. Just poke loads of holes in it with a soldering iron or other hot thing. You could drill holes, but this is the easiest way I found. So I'm just going to poke loads of holes in the lid here, just on one side, and then we'll also make some holes in the sides of the container and the end. So that should be enough for the lid. I'm just going to put ventilation in the lid on one side, and I'm going to put this side of the lid above where they nest, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to do some more holes along here now. Again, using my soldering iron, just poking loads of holes along here. The more the better, really. Okay, so we've got our holes in the sides and the lid. I'm just going to do a few more rows of holes along one of the back edges, sort of along here, do a few rows of holes. So again, with my soldering iron, I'm going to poke loads of holes here. Doesn't have to be neat, as long as it's functional. Okay, so that's all our holes poked in there. So that should be adequate ventilation for these. Like I said, this is the best method I've found, and it works well. I've had colonies of roaches for almost 10 years now, and I've never lost a colony. So the main reason people breed these is for feeder roaches for their reptiles, like I said before. They don't make a noise, they can't climb smooth surfaces. They grow quite fast, they breed well. So this next step, I'm going to add a layer of substrate. I'm just using wood shavings. This is the first time I've tried doing this. You don't have to add any substrate at all. But I tend to find the smaller baby roaches kind of get stuck on their back and can't get up. So I'm kind of experimenting by putting a layer of substrate underneath. So I'm just putting a couple of inches of wood chips before I put the egg cartons on. You can use any sort of hides, or you can use bark. but I found the egg cartons work the best. So we're gonna stack these up inside so there's lots of crevices for them to hide in, and then we'll put a bit on top just to exclude a bit more light. They really don't like light, so they like nice dark places to hide. They're a frugivore, so they only eat fruits and greens, although saying that, they will eat whatever they can get, including cardboard. So I'm just going to use these little tubs to make their food areas. So we're going to have a wet area and a dry area. And I'm just going to cut a little section out here so they can access it. Okay, so that should be adequate access for them. So like I said, I'm going to use 2 tubs. And one's going to be for dry food and one is going to be for wet food. I'll discuss what food to give them in a minute. So another advantage of the Dubia Roach is that they are relatively slow moving. They're high in protein, low in fat, and they've got more nutrition than crickets. And they can be gut loaded with calcium and all other vitamins. So this is sort of a standard cockroach diet. You've got your fruit, apples, oranges, carrots, where they get the moisture from, and that's a Weetabix there. And this is just some chicken food and some rabbit food. You can use cat food, dog food, but I try to tend to avoid them because they contain meat. Okay, so we've got one section for wet and one section for dry. They don't need any water. They will get this from the fruit and veg. And I've been breeding them for years and I've never put water in there. Some people will use the water crystals or the gel or damp cotton wool. Okay, so this is basically our colony all set up and ready to go now. So all we've got to do now is add our roaches. So they should be nice and happy in here now. So it's just a case of knocking them off the cardboard. They're really robust insects, so you don't have to be overly gentle with them. Just make sure none of them escape while you're doing it. Like I said before, they do breed quite quickly. They're not the quickest breeding roach in the world, but they do live, the adults can live for about 2 years, and they give birth to live young, which is quite unusual for an insect. And like I said before, they can't climb smooth surfaces, so as long as you keep them well away from the top, there's no way they can escape. And the males are the only ones that can fly, but they very, very rarely do, only if dropped. And the ideal temperature is 24 to 35 Celsius. You can keep them at lower temperatures, but they won't breed until it reaches 20 Celsius consistently. But they can survive pretty much anything. So I think I've got most of them in there now. Just make sure you get them all off the egg cartons. They do like to hide in places. They don't need any light, although you can keep them in a light area. But if you shine a light on them, they will run away and hide, which makes filming quite difficult. So that's all the roaches in there now. They should be quite happy in here, and hopefully the wood chip substrate will help them from getting stuck on their backs, and hopefully keep it a bit cleaner in there. So we'll put them somewhere nice and warm. I've got a boiler cupboard which gets quite hot, so that's ideal. But if you haven't got this, you can use a heat mat, just put it underneath the sleeping area. So you notice I'm putting the ventilation above the sleeping area for the lid, and the other bit on the other side, so there's kind of a temperature gradient. So we'll put these where they're going to go, and then I'll try and get a bit more footage. Okay, so this is a few hours later now. They're all settled in. You can see they've already munched quite a bit of that fruit. So that's basically all there is to breeding cockroaches. And you get a free supply of food for your reptiles. And they're also quite fascinating pets to keep. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. And I will see you on the next one.